For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
It's a bye week, but we're still here to give you your fix of NRL and Cronulla Sharks. Welcome to the ET Stand Podcast, the Sharks fans podcast where we let our talking do the football. We're in all the usual places: YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you guys want us to be. If we aren't there, let us know and we'll try and get there. While listening, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps with everything you do. We're achingly close to 1,000 subscribers, so just help us push over that line. That'd be really good. There's also a Discord channel where fans can chat 24/7 Sharks and any other topics that takes your fancy. The link will be in the chat very shortly and probably in the description below. Baldo is doing a live watch-along for the Sharks for the State of Origin, and he and the guys from Waz Up TV will be watching along, doing a live instant reaction to State of Origin. They'll be joined by Aaron from West's Life Podcast, and Lats, very own Lats, is back, and New South Wales Blues super fan Adrian. So that should be good. That should be an entertaining way to watch the State of Origin, that's for sure. Also, don't forget about Super Chats. They're there and they could change the course of history for all we know. Of course, we're going to have our competition for best comment. Best comment goes into the draw to win one of the display bustwares. Speaking of, after much consultation from the debrief episode, we have picked a winning comment. It was not Sean King, who was an honourable mention about us not playing to our strengths. It was not Paul, who admitted that he would love to see Ramian put in the centres. The winner eventually was from Benjamin Turner, where he said, "Did the team stop connecting after playing at the game at Shark Park? We need more travel." So that's into the draw. So don't forget, throw in your comments. We'll pick the best one out, whether it's funny, whether it's relatable, whether it's tied into this one, whatever we deem at the end. Will get thrown into the draw for the next. I believe this is getting drawn during the round, during second State of Origin. So we're not going to get many comments in this one. Means there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to win this. All right, now joining me tonight is Lats, who after going missing for like a month, you're going to get 3 episodes in a row, mate. Debrief this one and then tomorrow. How are you going?
He's working me, isn't he? The creator is working me. Yeah, mate, it's good to be back. It's good to not be coughing up a lung every 2 seconds. And yeah, mate, it's good. If only we had the win to cap it off, but unfortunately we don't. I'm still burning about that. But yeah,
it's a bit hard, isn't it? Bit hard. We also have the all-knowing Williams. Now, because Williams is all-knowing, we've tried to keep him in the dark for this one. So he's incoming in cold. But knowing Williams is probably a little bit more lukewarm because he knows everything. That said, Williams, before we get into all of this, do you want to give us your opinions of the Roosters match? We didn't get you on the debrief. Is there any thoughts or any rant you wanted to provide?
I don't know all because here I'm on a podcast and I stopped watching at the 36th minute the other night and I have not watched any highlights, any replay, nothing. That game does not exist to me. I was having a great old evening at a mate's barbecue. There was a fire pit. The kids were loving it the other night. I was watching the first half and was getting angrier and angrier. I was like, enough. So glad I didn't. My son, he's a sucker for punishment. My 7-year-old did continue watching and provide a few updates in the second half, including as we came back for a short period anyway, before things blew out a bit at the end. So I don't know much about the game on the weekend other than it was diabolical. And I'm not drawing a line through us, but I am 99.9% there, hence my bye-bye Sharks win. But yeah, that was not good enough in any way.
Williams losing faith. Whew. All right, well, look, it was pretty bad, so I think you weren't the only one there to want to put a line through us. We'll see how we bounce back from this. This will be a good test for not only the team, but for the coaching staff for sure.
One thing
All
I
right,
will
let's-
say on the Fitz presser, I did watch that. He was mighty pissed off, if you can say peed off, on this show with the PG rating. But a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you didn't seem angry enough." I interpreted that he was seething at what went for, gosh, barely a minute, and it was clear that he was composed, but was mighty ropeable. So we'll see where we go from here.
Yeah. All right. We'll just hit some of these comments quickly. SJD says the best comment last week should have been me for not saying anything, which is what that performance deserved. Mate, if we could have picked nothing, maybe we would have. James Monroe says most work Lats has done in years. This is
Turn it up.
He's getting paid
Coming from
overtime.
Monroe. Wow.
Then
Getting
is
paid peanuts.
confirming that yes, the displayware prize is going to be drawn during the State of Origin 2 watch along. So that'll be good, guys. Another incentive to get on that watch along. It should be fun. It should be good. We're obviously trialing some new things. It's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But we've got some good characters, some good guys who know what they're talking about. Not only some funny characters as well. So hopefully it's a bit of fun, and it could potentially lead to more things if you guys want it to. All right, Lats, how are you feeling, mate? Did you want to hit us with some socials?
Yeah, let's go for it, mate. Alrighty. Sharkies fans are filthy across the socials with the announcement of Ronnie's early guilty plea in accepting that one-match ban. Not only do they think he shouldn't have been sent off or rubbed out for a match, but they are blowing up that Mark Nawakanakatawasi, I think that's how you say it, I'm not too sure, did not have to go for a head injury assessment. This is a massive flaw in the rules of our game, and the fans want it fixed.
The one at Tinawase.
Yep, that's the one. Alrighty. A photo appeared across the socials a couple of days ago of AFB belting down dumplings at Yumcha with his arm in a sling. This sent the Sharks fans into panic. However, it is believed to be precautionary, and he should be fine to face off against the Warriors after our bye. Unfortunately, the dumplings weren't so lucky. Alrighty, that's 7 on the trot for our Jersey Flegg squad after downing the Roosters 30 points to 18 in Gosford on Saturday afternoon. The boys went into the sheds at halftime behind by 6 before a strong showing in the second half, coupled with a perfect night from the boot for Logan Clinch. Saw the away side seal the win. The boys now sit first on the ladder and go on to play the 8th place West Tigers at Henson Park at 12:50 p.m. this Saturday. The Newtown Jets were back with a bang on Saturday afternoon in Gosford, taking down the Roosters 54 points to 0. Both Dylan Coutts and Christian Dixon bagging doubles, tries also to the Puru brothers, Chris Vaea, Blake Hosking, Eparama Navale, and Eli Clark, with both Niwai and Pollard combining to convert 7 of the 10 tries. The win bumps the boys back into the top 4, and they go on to play the 12th place Magpies at Henson Park at 3 p.m. this Saturday.
That was pretty good. I don't think it makes up for losing in first grade, but that's pretty good.
That's a nice little statement win there.
Yeah.
We'll take
also
that.
worth mentioning Taj Ford, who's playing 5/8 for Flegg, has stepped up and is now playing fullback for the Newtown Jets, and he's doing all right.
Yep. Good to see. We are pretty limited in stocks there in the fullback position, and it's good to see him doing a job.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and finally, Sharks NRLW playmaker Georgia Hanaway will fulfill a lifelong goal of hers after being selected at number 14 in a bench utility role for the Maroons as they look to avoid a 3-match clean sweep by the Blues at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle on Thursday night. Georgia will face off against Sharkies teammates Emma Veron, Tiana Penatani-Gray and Ellie Johnson, who have all played pivotal roles in the Sealing series for the Blues over the first 2 matches. Good luck to the girls for that final game. And this segment's been brought to you by Miranda Hotel. They had some cracking State of Origin deals on. Get down there. They've got half-price pizzas, wing deals. There's $7 frosty cold schooners, and you have the opportunity to win a jersey at each one of those matches. So if you can't get to the game, get along down to Miranda Hotel, and you'll have a great night, guaranteed.
Win a retro jersey. Look at that.
Yeah,
One
good.
entry per drink. That's awesome. All right.
So good.
Drawn at half time. So is the plan there that you win it and then throw it on and then brag that you won it? Or if we're losing, you stuff it up your jumper and pretend you didn't see it?
Each their own, mate. However you want to do it.
Each to their own, exactly. Well done, lads. Well done, mate. Yeah, that Ronnie thing was a bit of a a no-brainer, I suppose. We all expected him to lose one. Like I said on the debrief, I would have liked to have seen us fight it, even if it meant an extra week. I just think it's one of those ones where remove the loading points and sort of we're kind of covering him, assuming Katoa is coming back as expected. It'd be good to just see what else we've got there. But anyway, that is what it is. Sonia talks about shoulder awareness. Nothing to see here.
Very good.
And she's changed her picture to the Roosters logo. So
Someone may have lost
Yeah.
a bet.
Yeah.
Someone hanging out with CK maybe. And then she says either that or it's competition between AFB and Galvin for media attention. 2.0 giving you Lats a bit of a rap for pronunciations. Well done, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
And SJD one for you, Williams. He says, did Williams put a line through the Sharks after going down to the Dragons 32-18 in 2016?
Ooh.
I was there with Boldo, and yes, I did. My thoughts on the current team and any live things happening are completely irrational and not to be taken seriously. I'll happily tell you what happened in 2003, as we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, when it comes to live opinions, they're not great and they wildly vary. But yes, I did. I thought we were done. I think everyone thought we were done right up until we hit the lead with about a minute to go against Canberra in that quarterfinal. I think everyone thought we were done for that year.
Yeah, there was a bit of a shaky ground at the end there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Stuart Campbell
no
says, Andrew Delanala doing great job with the juniors. Didn't realise he played for us until I met him. So
Yeah,
there you
03,
go.
as Boldo puts in here, but he played a few games at halfback in Breckenwell, his absence back in 03. And I remember seeing him in reserve grade, very handy left-footed kicker, both general play and conversions would kick from everywhere. So didn't play too many first-grade games, but really stood out in reserve grade when he played there.
All right, very good. Okay, so special bye-week episode, guys. This episode is brought to you by Morgans at Cronulla. If you're in need of stockbroking and financial investment services, then look no further than Chris and the team down at Morgans of Cronulla. They're certainly going to be there to help you out. They're big Sharkies fans. They're locals, so give them a go. They probably would have done better research than we did for this episode, but you know what? We didn't have them for this, so we've done our best. Now, you don't know what this is about at all, Williams? Any hints? Any inklings? I assume you saw the thumbnail or the title.
The title, where are they now? Boldo may have just before you came on said there was something to do with an SG ball or Harold Matt's
Oh,
from
of course
some period,
he did. Buddy Big Mouth can't keep it shut, can he? What a joker.
Lat's going to test. I'm just being honest here. Lat's going to test. Boldo said, if you want to do some last minute research, I said 0, going in cold. So I found out just pre-show what it was, but no research occurred. So here I go.
I'm not even going to ask, any guesses of who. I'm not going to ask what's going on. No, you're in.
Was it 09 or 2010? Oh, I don't know. I'm not even sure. Jeez.
All right.
Nice pictures there.
Yes. Don't know who that is.
Can you walk us through these, mate? What is that one on the left?
This one on the left is someone with a rat mask. So maybe
Right.
Master Splinter. I don't know, the next one, maybe a DJ of some description. The next guy, even better. Third guy,
Michael Hutchins in the
Birdman.
middle there.
That last one, I've got some on that last one. That last one is Boldo's birthday party. So that's how he's got that
There you go.
picture.
7th birthday or something.
Look, I did.
Ninth.
I have aged well, I think.
There you go.
But I don't know how I was as a young fella. So this
Jake.
one, here we go. Boldo's confirmed it was his 21st birthday party. All right. Well, so now you know. It is
Okay,
the
2015.
10-ish anniversary of the Sharks juniors, both the Matthews Cup and SG Ball squads completing for the grand finals on Saturday, May 9th in 2015.
Wow.
So in 2015, both junior clubs, both junior grades Matthews Cup and SG Ball, progressed through to the grand final. They were played one after the other on that Saturday. And for those that aren't quite aware, Harold Matthews is the under-17s and SG Ball is under-19s. This was, as we all now know, 2015, prior to grand final glory in first grade of 2016. So we were hanging on to anything we could as fans. We saw this as potentially the ushering in of an era. Our juniors in both age groups coming through, hopefully winning, which they did, spoilers, winning everything, taking it all out. And we're going to go from strength to strength here. Club wasn't going too bad in 2015, but it was going to be something that we were going to go from strength to strength with all these great juniors, bring them through, have decades of success. We might think about the word dynasty, guys, because Latz and Williams, we had a little bit of an off-the-cuff discussion about this a year or two ago, right in the middle of the Panthers winning runs, and what a dynasty is like and what it takes to get there. Well, this is where we thought we were going to be, thanks to these two winning teams. So we're going to go through, we're going to have a look at the players that took part in these teams, have a bit of a think about where they are, what they've done, and then sort of come out the back of it and think about how hard it is to build a dynasty and how hard it is to succeed in the NRL, because it's not straightforward as just playing the game, right? Everyone tries hard, everyone wants to be there. There's only so many spots, and there's various things that stop you from getting there and achieving your goals and dreams, which is both bittersweet, but also, there's a bit of success out there as well. Some caveats. It's very hard to do some of this research for 10 years on, especially for people that may have vanished away from the game, people with common names, people that don't want to be found or be referenced. Not everyone likes to publicize themselves on social media or be found anywhere. Some could consider it a bit of stalking.
How many AVOs did you pick up in this research process?
I've got 3 outstanding.
Oh, wow.
But I will say that any indiscretions that I discovered that were not associated to football or the moving between clubs, I have left out of this. People deserve a clean slate. There's no need to bring up old mud. So there won't be any mudslinging here.
Ominous.
Unless it was relating to football and edge football. Also, as I mentioned, there are some common names out there, and so I really hope I've got the right person as I've researched them. There may be some oopses. We'll find out as we go along. Hopefully not, but we're not perfect. Also, there were people, as I mentioned, we couldn't get any information on. Look, they were all Sharks players. We've got Sharks fans listening. If you know any of these players, whether you're friends or family, we're happy to hear and shout out and give them kudos, because even winning this is a pretty good achievement for the Sharks, and we'd like to sort of celebrate that as well. So, a bit sad of there'll be a few people that we talk about. It's like, I've just got to shrug and say, look, we didn't really know much about this. So anything you want to talk about to us about these players that we might have missed, and you want us to hear about some good work they've done outside of football, past football, in junior rugby league, anything like that, we're happy to hear about it and talk about it on future episodes. And if I've got anything wrong, please let me know, let me correct it, because again, this is something we want to try and make sure that people are recognized for what they've done, and that we understand the path that it takes to either succeed or find your niche in life. Without further ado, though, let's move on to how many players do you think played NRL from this group? We've got what, 34 players?
I'm going to say Just under so of the 34, I'm going to pluck and say maybe 13 or 14, just under half. A lot don't convert. I think I can see Billy Magoulias there, but I'm not sure. I don't remember this. I remember this happening, but I don't remember seeing it or knowing what the teams were at the time. I was living in rural Victoria, and social media and internet was a thing, but I just wasn't plugged into the Shire as much as I am now, especially down there. Moved back mid-year and got to go to a few of the games late 2015 and did go to Townsville, unfortunately, for that 39-0 match we won't speak any further of, but I don't particularly remember here. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to learn a lot during this, I think.
Awesome. All right. So any guesses from you, lads?
Mate, I'm going to go with 16.
16, 14 and 16. Good success rate.
Yep.
We've got 11.
Oh.
Right. Ooh. Okay.
11 players have made it to the NRL from these two teams. How many NRL games do you think that they've amassed?
Between them all?
Between them all.
Between, let's say, an average of 10 each. There might be a couple of stars in there that really kicked on, but maybe not. Maybe Kyle Flanagan might be in the mix, and he's probably getting up there now. So I'm going to say 110.
110. Lats, got a number for me?
130, mate.
130. It's actually pretty good compared to your numbers, guys. We're up to 637 games.
We were close.
Us of little faith.
So close. 637 games, 11 players. Talking of success, what do we think? Were there any premiership winners in this team?
Not with the Sharks, because I don't think anyone bolted straight from Mats and Ball straight to the 2016 team.
That would be pretty good, wouldn't it? But you're not far wrong.
Who from us? It was Sean Lane was in our system for a while, and then he obviously made an appearance in 2022 for the Eels, but they didn't win because they're the Eels and they're playing Penrith. Maybe Scotty Sorensen if he was in there. So I'm going to say if Sorensen was in amongst that, he made his debut I think in 2018, so he could have been. There's one at least, so I'm going to say one premiership winner.
Lats, got anything for us?
No, mate, I'll just ride that one with Williams. I'll go the one. Scotty Sorensen. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I think Ash Williams here is saying that there was none. There were two premiership winners coming out of this collection of players. So we'll find out about that. And then Boldo, who took over my slides and did a whole bunch of shenanigans, says Franko all-time favourites, at least two. Well, I'll have to think about who those two are. I could probably assume one that I'm thinking of, but we'll see if we can work that out. All right. So on to the Harold Matts team. We'll start there.
Fresh-faced.
All fresh faces, aren't they? All right. First of all, we've got Dylan Smith in fullback there. So Dylan Smith left the Sharks for the Wests, where he played 3 seasons in New South Wales Cup in 2018 through to 2020. He then had a year at Blacktown and wrapped up at Mount Pritchard in 2022. So didn't really kick on there, unfortunately, at least not for the Sharks. Sort of moved on and played a bit of ball, or played a bit of New South Wales Cup, and didn't get much further than that. Next, we've got Bronson Sherry. We all know about Bronson Sherry. He played through the grades at Sharks, making his debut in 2019, scoring 13 tries that season. There were rumours how it would be hard for us to keep him with the Roosters sniffing around. However, it turns out that he left for very different reasons, unfortunately testing positive to anabolic steroids and being provisionally suspended. In 2021, it was made official with a backdated 4-year ban. Towards the end of 2022, the Bulldogs came knocking and offered him a contract for 2024, with both parties making good on the deal, seeing Sherry return to the NRL in round 5 that year. Sherry then extended his contract through to 2027 with the Dogs, and more recently scored a double against us in round 4 that year. That's a total of 52 first grade games, 22 with us and 30 at the Bulldogs. So he certainly was a promising junior. He had a lot going for him. Unfortunately, it was not to be with us. There were things with COVID as well, and training at home and injuries and whatnot. Whether we would have kept him, it's hard to say.
I was going to say no comment on this guy because the way he left the club, and I'm just going to put it out there, he looks completely different at the Bulldogs, his facial structure. But that's another story. The try that he scored against the Panthers in a big come-from-behind win on, I think it was the Thursday night before the Easter long weekend in 2019 was great, although I think it was Josh Dugan that tripped over maybe Dallin Watene-Zelezniak in pursuit. So lucky that one didn't go to the bunker or get reviewed back then. That was just a try was given. And he also scored a hat-trick against the Dragons down at Wollongong in a good win down there, I think, later that year. So some good memories from Bronson. Shame with how it all ended up, but you're right, he may well have left anyway.
Yeah, so he's certainly a good player, but it wasn't to be for us, and who knows what would have been the case if he hadn't had that little bit of a faux pas. Julian Spanos, he scored a try in this match, but unfortunately I could not find very much information on him. So sorry, Julian. Hope you're doing well, buddy. But on to the next. Our centres pairing was Samisi Kioa. He continued through the lower grades before moving across to Blacktown Workers in 2020 for one appearance there. He then became a bit of a New South Wales Cup journeyman, going from Mount Pritchard in 2022 to West in 2023, and then is now with Manly. 3 appearances. Manly New South Wales Cup. He is currently runs a concreting business called Kiowa Concrete. And there was a nice little story where he knocked back some work for his concreting business to take part in a New South Wales Blues opposed training session, lining up against Latrell Mitchell. Some of the boys had some nice things to say about him. Lomax mentioning he was a gun during the junior days playing against him in this very grade. And Cam Murray saying that he was pretty strong. So that was kind of cool to see that he's still sort of knocking around, still lacing up the boots. But yeah, just for New South Wales Cup and below. The other one is Jack Gould. He scored a try in this match as well. He's the son of Supremo Phil Gould, and has been said in commentary many times that he's good mates with Tommy Hazelton. Hazelton sleeping on Gould's couch. Can't honestly find much about Jack online. From memory, he had a couple of NYC games, but didn't go much further than that. Google tells me that he's still with the club as a female pathways coordinator. Again, that's just the best I could do. I'm pretty sure that that's him, but it's obviously don't see much about him or much spoken about that, so could be wrong. But it looks like, yeah, he's still with the club, still working through there as part of the NRLW structure.
Good that he's part of the club. And I know Gus used to always talk about how his wife and kids were big Sharks fans, yet he overtly despises the club. So good that Jack's still involved there, if that is indeed correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stuart Campbell comes through and he asks, what year was Rogers Junior?
Good question.
Not part of this setup, Stuart. I believe he came to the club a year later in 2016. Might have even been 2017. But yeah, we can do a bit of that one on the fly. But yeah, he wasn't part of this group, mate. Next, we've got our 6 and our 7. Kai Broadhurst, he was selected for state in combined high schools. He continued through the grades in SG Ball and Flegg, also being selected for the New South Wales Blues Pathways program alongside Sherry, Franklin Pele and Isaac Longmuir. From there, he seemed to have drifted back into park footy and as best as I can tell is no longer in the game. Obviously there, the picture showing us Luke Metcalf. He played through the grades at Cronulla until Manly poached him, where he won Jersey Flegg Player of the Year award in 2017. From there, he went on to their New South Wales Cup system with Blacktown from 2018 through to 2020. He had an ACL setback, not to mention COVID. However, during his time there, he had a highlight in the 2020 Auckland Nines, where he was named in the team of the tournament. In 2021, he was brought back to Cronulla as a development player, flipping between halves and fullback. there was a trial match which was billed as a playoff between him and Kennedy for the number 1 jersey. He didn't win that. It was Kennedy obviously got the nod. I'm not sure if it was an injury-related thing, but he played pretty good, and I wanted to see him. He didn't play in the second trial, so can't quite remember. I couldn't find anything really about it, but yeah, he played well in that first trial. He then ultimately made his NRL debut in round 20 off the bench. Interestingly, he played 4 games off the bench, all for a loss, but he played 2 games at 5'8", both for a win. His first game at starter, he scored 2 tries with a humorous moment of Ronaldo gifting him his first try, basically passing him the ball at the try line, both of them untouched. So that was pretty cool. Big smiles and laughs on both of their faces. In 2021, the Sharks had a change in coaching staff where Fitzy announced for the 2022 season, and off the back of that, Fitzy announced the signing of Nico Hines, effectively blocking Metcalf's path. And in December of that year, it was announced that he had signed with the Warriors for the 2023 season. Currently, he has a total of 37 NRL appearances, with 7 for us and 30 for the New Zealand Warriors. And last I checked, he was leading the Dally M leaderboard.
Let's face
Thoughts,
it, Franko,
guys?
this was the entire reason for this exercise, is allowing us to talk about Metcalf. And funny you mentioned that try that Ronnie gave him, which was his first. I was going to talk about that straight up. I was like, that's a distinct memory of his. And bizarrely, so I was working in Newcastle. I was driving home. I was listening to the radio and listening to the Triple M coverage of us beat the Tigers. I think it was 50 points to 20 or something in that weird COVID period. I think it was in Rockhampton maybe. And Dan Ganane, your favourite commentator, was losing his mind on Triple M in a bad way, going that Ronaldo was unprofessional, a piece of poo, basically, because if Metcalf dropped it, this is not the under sixes. And there was him and a few other comments. I think it was maybe Wendell and James Graham and a few others just losing their minds, going, that is ridiculous. It's not the under sixes. Yet I get home and I watch the halftime highlights on Fox, and it's Warren Smith and someone else, and they're going how great it was. It was a great image, and Metcalf got his first try, and thanks to Ronnie. And Ronnie ended up copping a broken jaw later that game. And Ronaldo could have had, I think he had a hat-trick or 2 or 3 tries anyway. He could have had 4 or 5, but instead he gave, obviously, 1 to Metcalf. So interesting how things happen. But yes, I do remember that shootout between him and Kennedy. And I do remember, I suppose, following with yourself, I suppose, in and out of the lower grades. And we got excited when we signed him back from Manly. It's devastating we went across there. But him coming back was great, and good to see him, I suppose, have success there back in 2015 in this group of guys.
Mm-hmm. I have a very nerdy moment. I mean, if I'm not a nerd already, we all know I am. But I have never been compelled. I should say I've never followed through with writing to the club, writing anyone at the club. However, I wrote an email to John Morris when it found out that he was not being offered a new contract at Manly. And I said, John, mate, buddy, pal, we need to sign him, bring him back to the Sharks. And about a month after, he was brought back to the Sharks. So I'm not saying that this guy brought him back to the Sharks, but this guy brought him back to the Sharks. I guess I should have written the letter to Fitzy to say, hang on to him because get stuff done. 2.0 says here, geez, we messed up that playoff, didn't we, between Metcalf and Kennedy? And James Monroe says, what a loss Metcalf was. Yeah, I was pretty sad when we lost Metcalf. But honestly, the way we've trended, it was, bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, and he hadn't had much first grade experience. And if we're being honest, he was basically injured for 2 seasons as well, right? So we would have been pretty short for a couple of seasons there. Certainly hitting his strides now, and wish him all the best. Boldo is asking, Stuart Campbell, can we ask what name they went with in terms of Rogers Jr.? I believe it was Jack.
Correct.
Jack Rogers. All right. Next, we have the engine room. We've got Finay Kula, He was Harold Matt's Player of the Year and continued through the Sharks grades, getting rewarded with a development contract, where in 2020, he was unfortunately diagnosed with medulloblastoma, which is a form of brain cancer. His friends, family, and the Sharks club rallied around him, and after nearly 2 years of fighting, including over 10 months of intense chemo, he was able to announce that he was in remission, having beaten cancer and getting one for the good guys. He is still actively involved with the club as an assistant coach for SG Ball. Obviously, you don't like to see this happen to anyone. It put a hold on his career, but he's found another way to work with the club and work with the game that he loves. So I think this is ultimately a good story. Someone's able to come out the other end and use his experience to try and help others. So yeah, fun one with promising future. Still promising, just in a different way. All right.
Yeah, I
Boldo
definitely
is
remember Finay Kula with his cancer, I suppose, struggle, and great to see. Hopefully, he has come out the other side, and hopefully continues to be that way.
Bolo has said, no, I'm a buffhead, and he's asking, Stuart Campbell, because he was in a birthing ward a couple of episodes ago. What did you end up naming your kid, Stuart?
Definitely Tavita.
Then we've got Tamata McClousland. I'm sorry, Tamati, I couldn't find anything about you. Sorry, buddy. Again, another one that we couldn't find much info on. James Romanos, he left us for Canterbury playing New South Wales Cup in 2019-2020. Went to Mount Pritchard in 2021 before joining Blacktown in 2022. There, he got a call up to make his NRL debut for Manly before moving across to West Tigers for one more year, where he played New South Wales Cup. Following that, he headed to France, where he's joined Toulouse Olympic for 24 and 25 seasons. He's also represented Lebanon in 2019 and 2020. So a single NRL game for him, and is currently playing with Toulouse over there in I don't think it's Super League. I believe it's a tier below. But yeah, still lacing up the boots and still having fun.
Good stuff.
Great experience to be able to go play in France. The money's probably not as good, unfortunately, but a good experience nonetheless.
Absolutely. All right, back row. Jamin Salmon.
There we go.
Okay.
Wow.
A pretty impressive junior, also representing New South Wales at under 16s and under 18s while with the Sharks. In 2017, he signed with the Parramatta Eels for 3 years, making his NRL debut in round 21 of 2018. And in 2019, he hit a bunch of parked cars in Miranda, rolling his car, later being found out to have low-level alcohol limit. He didn't get any first-grade games in his final year at Para, with them letting him go in October that year to join the Penrith Panthers for the 2021 season. His contract was renewed, which saw him play in Penrith in 2022, grand final winning team. There's one premiership. He was then signed to Canterbury for the 2024 season, where he still is, as of this recording, in 2025. So far, he's played 90 NRL games, 17 for Para, 44 for Penrith, and 29 for the Dogs. I remember thinking that this guy was pretty good in this grand final. He was pretty impressive. I was sad to see him go. Turns out he was probably a character that we wouldn't have been able to hang on to anyway, or at least maybe would have given us a few bad headlines if he'd have stayed with us, knowing our track record. Thoughts, guys?
I suppose there's a lot of what do you call it? Controversy around the wick-gutted dog comment from Ricky, but I believe, and this is probably to be corrected, but there were some pretty serious accusations against Jamin Salmon about things that he'd said about, I think it was Ricky's daughter. So yeah, like not the greatest of character, and I know teams have, for want of a better term, no D-head policies. I'm not sure if he fell into that trap, but he's gone through a few clubs now, and he seems like a perfect fit at the Dogs.
He certainly is continuing that wick-gutted dog thread. I know he made headlines again when they beat Canberra a couple of weeks ago. But doing my research, ever since Ricky brought it up, he has mouthed that same line at every successful turn. So when he scored in the grand final, he said it. When they beat Canberra at a previous club at Penrith, he did it again. So it's 3 times he's brought it back up. I think it's almost time to let it go. I think. Then we've got Jay Sherman, another one I don't have much info on. However, I do believe that he is a player coach for St John's Bosco. So still contributing to the great game, which is kind of cool. And then
Bring back player coaches in first grade.
Yeah, I know, right? That would be pretty epic.
Captain coach.
Lachlan Smith, sorry, Lucky, I don't have anything on you either.
Not to mention, there's probably about 400,000 Lachlan Smiths around Sydney. So
narrow it down.
Mm-hmm. Then we've got the bench. Peter Tamatu, another one without much info. However, I do believe he's still lacing up the boots for Hurstville United. Then we've got Monty Raper. Plenty have heard the story and the name. For those who haven't, he's the grandson of Monty Porter. Great nephew of Johnny Raper. Pretty good pedigree, you'd say. He continued through the grades and was training with the first grade squad, getting a couple of appearances for the Newtown Jets across the 2019-2021 seasons. After graduating from UTS, he's now a lawyer practicing at Gilbert and Tobin. So, good job, buddy. Trace Davidson, he's the son of Les Davidson. Unfortunately, another one I couldn't find much information out about. And then Reece Ward, unless he is the Canadian actor, I'm also coming up blank. So sorry, guys, on the bench there. We kind of missed out there. Now there is, let me just have a look here. All right. That is it. That is the Harold Matthews 2015 team. Not a bad squad. Certainly some highlights out of there. Not much to show for the Cronulla Sharks, though.
No, if you look at that. So we've got Sherry, Metcalf played first grade for us, and that's it, I suppose. And obviously, Jamin Salmon played first grade elsewhere. And what were you saying that James Romanos, did he play one game for Manly? And that's it, really. Yep,
correct. So we didn't. There was a bit of success here in terms of first grade, but very little for the Cronulla Sharks. Very little to show for it. All right, moving on to.
Looks like in the comments, just in breaking news, that Stuart Campbell has provided a name for the son. And no, it's not Toshio. It is Kai Campbell. Congratulations, Stuart and the Campbell clan for Kai. He's a week old now. And Williams 2.0 jumping in saying that apologies for that performance. Obviously, congrats first off. Your son didn't deserve that for the first ever game. Boldo stating he's got, quite rightly, unfortunately, a lifetime of those to look forward to. And I'm not sure what Boldo's doing, talking about Kyle Flanagan and Jai Mullane as the closest options.
It's a crossover, Kyle and Jai. Kai.
Ah, true. That's a good call.
It's a merger.
If there is one thing the Cronulla Sharks can be counted on, it is to lose on a special occasion. Weddings, birthdays.
Yeah, both my sons, when they were born, the next game immediately afterwards were losses for the Sharks.
Yep. That's just the Sharks' way. Now the coach there was Glenn Brayley. Forgot to mention that. So obviously that was him working his way through the club and having that access to all the juniors that we all know about. All right. Next, the SG Ball team. How do we go? Well, fullback.
Will Kennedy.
William Kennedy.
There's some first grade game there.
So, this is an easy one, and our first to not only make it to the NRL, but to still be playing for the Cronulla Sharks. Will worked his way through the grades, including the NYC, the Newtown Jets, before making his debut in 2019. It wasn't until the following year in 2020 that he was a regular starter, and has been ever since. He represented the Indigenous All-Stars in 2022, and up until very recently, was leading the Dally M's.
Still sitting
Come
second.
on, Will. You can do it, mate. You can do it. He has made 119 NRL appearances, and they're all for the good guys. They're all for the Sharkies. Look, Will's been good. He's been a bit maligned, a few people giving him knocks, but I do believe that year on year he has improved, and hopefully that continues. Contract year for Will, so it'll be interesting to see where the future takes him. I know that I'm a bit of a fan of Will. I think he's been pretty good. As everyone, I think I'd like to see him improve a little bit, but he's getting there and he's doing a good job for the Sharkies. Thoughts?
Agreed.
We got to re-sign Will.
Yeah, we got to re-sign him. A few off weeks, the last few weeks. There was an interview with Craig Fitzgibbon a week or two ago on SEN, where interviewed by Jimmy Smith, and he said that obviously Mooney's the one to speak to with regards to the cap management, but they're sorting something out basically.
Yeah, he's been one of our most consistent all year. If it's a travesty if we don't re-sign him, he's given our depleted fullback stocks and the injuries that they're prone to, and their big injuries that they've come across as well. To let Will go would be silly.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that look, it's difficult, and it's made more complexing by the fact that both next in lines are injured for the season, in Cade Dykes and Liam Eisen. So yeah, I don't know what the plan is if we don't sign him, but obviously there's something that they're going through and looking at. James Munro says, interesting that no club has come for him. That
makes me think that he has a verbal deal in place with us and he's not looking elsewhere.
It'd be a different story this time. Well, this time next year, I suppose, looking at Perth and PNG. Obviously Perth for 2027 and PNG for the year after that. So they may be trying to recruit for them, but they can't yet. And so I suppose that plays into our favour. However, Lats could be right there. Could also be a factor that most of the other clubs are happy with their fullback stocks as well.
Yeah, funny story. In his debut match, Matt Russell was sideline commentator, and I, while he was warming up, went over and had a bit of a chat to Matty Russell on the sideline. Told him how excited I was to see William Kennedy's debut, and he was all over it. He had pulled out his book of notes, and he had 4 or 5 pages worth of notes all on Will Kennedy, ready for talking points. And Kennedy had a bit of a shocker, a bit of a quiet game, and I remember going up to him at half time, and he's going, I'm not going to get to use any of these notes today.
That was the same game that Bronson Cherry scored that try I was talking about before with Dugan tripping, I think it was DWZ, but Will Kennedy gave up directly at least one try with a dropped grubber, and he had a bit of a torrid night, the poor bugger, and didn't play first grade again for a while, I think. Felt like Ronaldo.
That's right. Didn't play for a while, correct. And 2.0 says bring back Metcalf. All right. Then wings, we've got Josh Tuolagi. He progressed through the grades at Sharkies and joined the full-time training squad from the NYC in 2018, along with Sione Katoa. He ended up going from there to the Mackay Cutters for a few seasons. So they were both development players at the same time, him and Katoa. Obviously, we know where one went, and Josh Tuolagi went the other way. The other one is Cameron Scott. No, not the Cameron Scott who plays in the Super League. though that would be a good story. We've maybe got a better one. Spending time both at the Sharks and then the Bulldogs, he went to a camp in Whistler, Canada. And after a 3-week, I don't know what it is, intense training session, he has come out representing Australia as a bobsled pilot.
Wow.
He's been on a whole bunch of tournaments. He's doing really well. Obviously, in the bobsled, there's 4 to a team. He's the guy up the front driving the thing, going around 140, 150 kilometers an hour down these things. He's hoping to represent Australia at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy. There is no funding for bobsledding, so he's out there trying to raise money to ensure that he can go. He recently held a little fundraiser down at Cronulla, teaching people about health and getting them to do various activities to try and raise money so that he could actually buy a bobsled for the Olympics. So keep an eye out, guys. If you see him there, throw him a couple of bucks. That'd be a pretty cool story to have this local guy, representing Australia at the Winter Olympics. His full-time job is as a hematology nurse unit manager at St. George Hospital. But yeah, keep an eye out for his fundraising endeavours, and let's cheer him on at the Olympics if he gets there.
Yeah, good.
Williams 2.0 saying cool runnings, the Aussie fairy tale. I was about to ask you, did you make it? But obviously not.
He's not, but hey, he's probably better than them. Let's go with that. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool story, and it's things like that.
James Munro, great call there. That's got to be the comment of the night so far. All downhill, just like the Sharks.
I love it. But this is one of the great little nuggets, great little find doing this and sort of checking it out. Who'd have thought we'd find someone competing to try and get in the Olympics, but the Winter Olympics at that, from the Sharks SG ball team. That's pretty awesome. All right, then we've got Curtis Scott. Promising junior, captained his team and playing Australian schoolboys. He was snapped up by Melbourne on a 3-year deal, and he made his debut round 2 in 2016. So this was 2015, this SG ball. He then made his debut in 2016. Pretty awesome. That season was cut short.
That, yeah.
Yeah, he the very next round he broke his leg against us, the Sharkies, and that ruled out his season. However, he did make it back in 2017. Yep, off you go, mate.
That happened right in front of us. I'm not sure you were there, Franko, but it happened in front of myself and Kelly. And I suppose we're talking pre-game about, I was devastated when Curtis Scott signed with Melbourne. And I know there was a bit of controversy in the club at the time. And he broke his leg with that southwestern corner at Shark Park right in front of us. Yeah,
it was pretty devastating. But he did make it back in 2017 and was a regular for Melbourne Storm, winning a premiership with them and the World Club Challenge 2 as the second premiership.
There
you go. After a few on-field and off-field discretions, Melbourne let him go to Canberra with 2 years left on his contract. His first season with Canberra wasn't great, with more off-field shenanigans as well as injury, which that injury was actually something that was harkening back to that broken leg with pins and things in his leg getting infected. So that's a bit of a shame. In 2021, his contract at Canberra was terminated due to continuing off-field behaviour, and it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone thanks to him punching on with Walker on the field and many of his off-field indiscretions relating to fights, including one with John Bateman. He turned his career into boxing. He's in the heavyweight division with 4 bouts of 4 wins, 3 by knockout. I would say a little bit of a wasted NRL career perhaps, but also one plenty would have loved to have had. 71 matches, 48 with Melbourne, 21 with Canberra, and as I said, a premiership in the bag. So not bad there, Curtis Scott, buddy.
Pretty good economy.
Yeah. Then Keenan Yorston. Another junior that had big raps. I remember a lot of people talking highly about this kid. He continued with the Sharks pathways until 2017, where he then went to the Gold Coast Titans for a year before joining Ipswich Jets in 2020 for 3 seasons. He now runs a support services company focusing on individuals with disabilities.
Good man.
Kyle Flanagan, son of our premiership winning coach, Shane Flanagan. He progressed through the grades and made his debut in round 24 in 2018. He had a few more games for us in 2019. However, with his father since being banned from coaching and Andrew Johns loudly declaring to all who would listen that he was far too good for reserves, the Roosters came knocking and had him break his contract, bringing him to their club to replace Cooper Cronk. That experiment only lasted 1 year before being kicked out to the Bulldogs, where he remained for 3 seasons before being reunited with his father coaching at St George, where they're still at today. Much maligned, he has so far racked up 109 appearances, 9 with Cronulla, 20 with the Roosters, 50 with the Bulldogs, and 30 with the Dragons. Importantly, for their Christmas dinners, he has more NRL appearances than his father's 78. He was actually playing upper grade for the SG Ball. He was eligible for Maddies this year, but he played upper grade. So look, he was a talent. Still is a better footballer than I ever hoped to be, I suppose. Let's be real about it. But certainly feel as though a lot.
Imposter of an NRL player.
Well, it's one of those interesting things. Had he stayed at the Sharks, he'd probably still be at the Sharks. Knowing us, knowing how we're not very ruthless with players, I could imagine him still being at the Sharks.
He'd be another Chad, and you're right in that the way that he's carried on, and this is just agree. I've never made it as a footballer, and I'm just as good or terrible as you, Franko. But so it sounds very harsh me saying this, but the way he carries on each time he comes and plays against us, like that time we beat the Bulldogs by, I think it was almost 50 back in 2023. And he scored, and he's saying, "This is my house," and he was gobbing off and all that. It's like, you left us, not the other way around. He decided to leave. Even Shane Flanagan was quoted saying, "I sent him to the Roosters." Like it was key. I sent him there, even though he was, I think, suspended at the time. Like he shouldn't have been doing any willings and dealings, and wasn't his deliberate manager. But he had a fair sway on his son's career. And you're right that has he helped himself or hindered it by going to other clubs? Probably hindered it significantly. Going the opportunity to go to the Roosters, play under Trent Robinson in that system and be the Cooper Cronk replacement is definitely something that no junior halfback would ever pass up. But it was pretty ruthless the way they got rid of him there, and he hasn't found a consistent performance since. The final thing I will say on that season was an under 20s or it was Jersey Flegg back then when we won the minor premiership, and then we bowed out in straight sets, and he set all the records for point scoring. I remember watching them with you, Franko, and I didn't rate him too highly then either. He could back up and score a try, and he could kick a goal, but he wasn't a what's the term? He didn't set the world on fire as a playmaker. Let's just say that.
Yeah, he wasn't a prodigy, that's for sure. It was grit and grift, working hard. I feel as though had he stayed at the Sharks, would have been around the systems that he knew. He would have been with players that he knew. Those few games that he was with us, he did very well. And just going to that Roosters system where they expect excellence day in, day out. I mean, hey, we should probably be wanting that ourselves, but facts be known, we don't. So we would have given him, a season to find his feet, and then a season to improve. And then who knows how many seasons we would have given him. But like I said, I could very easily picture him still playing his whole career at the Sharks, or at least until, maybe now I'd be, questioning had we not had any success in that time. But, it's one of those things that's interesting, the way it pans out. You're right. Flanagan getting barred from coaching meant Flanagan moved his son on. Bit of a chip on his shoulder, I believe, at the time. And we mentioned earlier Bronson Xerri potentially going to the Roosters. That was because he was good friends with Kyle and basically they were in cahoots and they were going to bring him to the Roosters so that they were there playing together at the Roosters. So yeah. Anyway, Kyle Flanagan. His halves partner was Jack A. Williams. Very important not to forget the A, as we had another Jack Williams running around with us for a while. This Jack Williams is grandson of Reg Gasnier and cousin of Mark Gasnier. While he had his knocks, I actually saw more promise with his gameplay than that of Kyle. You mentioned there, Williams, not being so enamored with Kyle's play. I thought Jack was a better player. I thought he showed more promise. He continued with the Sharks, progressing through the grades and playing several years with the Jets. In 2021, in a trial match for Cronulla, he copped a shot in the throat, very similar to what happened to Andrew Feeder. He too was placed into an induced coma to aid in his recovery. He then went to a train and trial deal with the Dragons before, in what can only be described as a twist of symmetry, like the other Jack Williams, this Jack A. Williams ended up at Parramatta playing for their team in 2022, the New South Wales Cup team. I thought he had a lot of promise. He was definitely a slight kid, small. Maybe that's what held him back. But geez, you wonder if his halves partner wasn't the son of the coach, what might have happened there. Interesting to think about.
Yeah, I remember him being fast from, I suppose, more those under 20s, or I'm not sure if it was Toyota Cup or Flegg by this stage, but yeah, would back up and carve up around the ruck. So yeah, it was a bit more nippy and versatile, dynamic than Kyle was.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the props. Daniel Vasquez, another who stuck with the pathways, playing with the Newtown Jets from 2018 through to 2021, making his NRL debut in round 2020. Unable to add to that tally, he had the voice of an angel, with an ability to sing opera and showing up in plenty of social media clips doing so. Would have been a good marketing addition had he made it. I believe he's now a teacher. Yes, certainly a great singer. Plenty of opportunities for them to throw him up on camera singing happy birthday and whatnot to the other players. He was good fun. He was good fun. There was another social media post when he was announced that he was getting his first grade debut. All the players jumping around, super excited for him. It was pretty cool. But only one game for Vasquez. A lot of these players that if they got a first grade debut, seemed to be under John Morris, and then with Fitzy coming in, it was sort of a little bit of a changing of the guard, especially for the fringe players. Brock Illett, he continued at rugby league and had 2 stints with the Newtown Jets in 2018 and 2021. His 2018 season was with the Bears before moving on to Burleigh in 2022. He is now a marketing director at Illett Digital, a marketing agency. So good job for him. All right, there's a missing number there. Number 9.
Wouldn't be a current hooker, would it? Or Jaden?
It would be a current hooker, Blake. So another success story. Blake worked through the grades and made his debut in round 1 2019 off the bench, sharing the moment with his brother Jaden. By the end of the season, Jaden had signed with Newcastle and Brayley became Cronulla's regular starting number 9. In and about with Origin discussions, he's proved to be a resilient player, still on the improve. To date, he's collected 149 appearances in the NRL with the Sharkies. So, yeah, he's doing well.
There was
Williams
a comment
2.0
from...
calls out, surely there's a Blake Brayley coming, and there was 2.0. 149 appearances, all with the Sharkies. Certainly still on the improve. A little bit of frustration from some fans wanting to see a bit more from him, which, you know what, I would say the last few rounds, he's certainly been taking the game on a bit more, showing a few options with the boot. It's been a bit exciting. So let's sort of see how he goes, but it's kind of good to at least get another player there for the Sharkies.
Tell you what, 149 matches pretty good for someone of his age. 26 years. He's got plenty more in him. He'll be a member of the 300 club for sure.
Yep, absolutely. SJD says Blake's still rocking his same teenaged frame.
This photo was only taken yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty nice. All right. Next, we've got back row 2.0 there saying best of the lot, far better than any other player on this list.
Well, it's not over yet.
Not over yet. Then we've got number 11 there, Jesse Savage, a promising junior progressing through the grades before suffering shoulder injuries, and then in a scenario of bad decisions compounded with bad timing, he was charged with possession of cocaine 72 hours after the chairman, Damien Keogh, was stood down for a similar offence. Unfortunately, that would be the end of him at the Sharks. He then had another crack at Burleigh Bears, but was unable to progress much further. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate timing there, but still, you did the wrong thing there, and that was no good. Now Boldo has changed up my slides. He didn't go with what I've given him. He's put in Tony Matutia. So he didn't actually start in 12. He moved to the bench for this match, but jumping around my notes, Tony moved to Tweed for a season in 2018 before heading south to Canterbury for a season in 2019, playing State Cup there. But other than that, not much else. I will just mention who did play in 12 was Lewis Strickland. He was quickly poached by the Bulldogs to much hype. However, injuries and the chaotic nature at the Dogs under Des at the time meant he wasn't able to progress any further. Chaotic. All right. Lock. Billy Magoulias.
There he is.
A nuggety lock who had some good playmaking ability, certainly had his pathways blocked by 1p a gallon. However, he stuck around playing for Newtown from 2018 through to 2022. In that time, he made his NRL debut in round 19, 2019, and over 3 seasons grabbed 17 first-grade appearances. He then left for Super League, however, returned to the Newtown Jets in time for their next season of 2023 and is still there playing to this day. It's probably worth mentioning that he owns not one, but 2 of the greatest highlights of Newtown's history, chip kicking in the dying seconds to an outside back for grand final win, followed up by the exact same play in the state championship a week later. He's also clocked up 5 appearances for Greece. Pretty good old Billy. Did think he would get...
Cult hero.
He also scored a try in round 2 of 2020 when we're playing against Melbourne in front of no one at Cogra. We gave up a controversial
I honestly
penalty
thought he would get more games, whether it be with us or someone else. There was a bit of competition to try and sign him. I think it was Souths that were trying to poach him, and we managed to hang on to him. But yeah, I really thought he would get more games somewhere in the NRL. It's certainly a good player, a little bit loose defensively, but still, yeah, pretty good player.
And then
2.0 mentioning the chip chase.
Yeah, he had a ripper of a debut against, I think it was against South or Para, one of the two. We won big. I think it was the same game that Wade Graham came back from injury and just set the world on fire in late 2019, set up a whole stack of tries, scored a few himself. And Billy, I believe Brad Fittler, not that I take much or pay much stock in what he was talking about at all, but he was raving about him. I loved him in the juniors, would love to sign him. And there was a lot of attention around him. And then you're right, came in and out of the team. I know another podcast, a Sharkcast, which was obviously around at the time, they were joking that you could, during that period when there was so much contention around him, you could basically start your own podcast and call it Magoulias because there was that much chat around him. An enigma for one of any other term. Just good to see him still getting around for Newtown, but it's a shame he didn't, for whatever reason, kick on to a long and prosperous NRL career.
Absolutely. And then the bench. We've got Jaden Brown, Sorry, Jaden, I've got nothing on you. We've got Justin Timu. Can't find anything on Justin. Then we've got Amo Lalula. He progressed through the grades before being lost to the game and me because I can't find anything on him outside of Flegg. And then Reese Gare. Reese, as best as I can tell, is still playing park footy for St Joseph's with a bit of amateur boxing on the side. So yeah, there's the SG Ball team. Now, I'll ask the same question. What do you think of that team off the back of another 17 odd players? Did we get much success out of that? Is there any good call outs? Anything for the Sharks?
Obviously, you got Curtis Scott, Kyle Flanagan, and Blake Brayley being the standouts, and Magoulias kind of to a slightly lower tier. The rest didn't really kick on, and it's interesting. I think it was Stuart Campbell talking higher up that average number of first grade games is about 50. I'd actually read a stat a while ago, and this is, I think, taking into account NRL, AFL, Super Rugby, A-League, professional Australian football codes, basically. And the average number, I think, in that article was talking about it really only being about 20. It was not much over the teens of what the average number of first grade games are. And that this, I suppose, has been an exploration and a testament to that it's very difficult to make that next step up. And you hear pretty much everybody interviewed. I know Dennis Kemp's talked about it. A lot of other guys, they talk about players, the best players they played with were guys they played with in the juniors that never kicked on to first grade for whatever reason. It might have been, it could have been any number of reasons outside of the individual's control as well, injuries, bad times, and the like. So it's a shame that I suppose these were the best teams, best two teams for the age groups at the time. It's a shame that more of them didn't kick on because there's talk of depth issues if the competition is to expand. I hope that's not the case and that the competition is able to harness these talents and bring them through so that we don't have issues like we're talking about that leads into the whole Atkinson argument. Do you have him on the bench or not? Because you got to cover for your playmakers or your backs if you lose and things like that. Hopefully, the more depth in the game makes it a better, I suppose, more entertaining and evens things out and the salary cap works. But it's an interesting one where each of those teams really only had 2 or 3 standouts, and the rest, vast majority, were like not even guys were like, oh yeah, heard of him but haven't heard any further. But guys I just never heard of and we never heard from again. So wonder what happened there.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning out of the two teams, 34 players, we've only got 2 Sharks players.
Yeah.
Out of these 2 teams.
Success
Success rate of
Brayley.
Yeah, Brayley and Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Oh, Kenny, sorry. Oh, completely missed the
Just
top
goes to
there.
show
Sorry.
how hard it is to forge a career in the NRL. Like you look
Yeah.
at Billy Magoulias, he should have played a hell of a lot more games. And as you said, it's good to see him running around still. But if sliding doors moment, if he does sign with Souths, where his career could have gone, if he's got more opportunity at other clubs and he's not parked behind certain players. But yeah, it's very hard looking at all those young kids and only a handful of them make it.
You never know. At South, he would have been behind Cam Murray for a long period there too. So you never know, really. And it's hard.
Wow.
There was another podcast I was listening to talking about those players. Like you look at the Brayleys, they were hookers, so it's hard for them to crack it. Like there's only one hooker in each team, maybe a bench spot for them. So, same with the halves, but others like centers and second rows and props, kind of a dime a dozen. If you can, and even wingers, you can crack that. But it's really difficult to crack those key positions like lock or fullback or hooker.
Yeah, SJD comes in. He says, "Wait, none of them became Nobel Prize laureates? What a shame." No, mate, they did not.
I'm sure there's
All
been
right.
a thesis written about Magoulias' 2 chip kicks and how difficult it would have been to replicate in that moment of a match and what the odds were and the like. But one final thing on Latz's comment too about how hard it is to graft in the NRL. So when those players make that, so the average number of first grade games is 20, let's say, a lot of them only play 1 or 2. But what Franko was talking about too, a lot of them, they kicked on, they go, they jump between NRL clubs, maybe they go the next tier down, they go the Q Cup or they go the New South Wales Cup and play for Blacktown, or they might go back down another tier to Ron Massey. And occasionally you hear a crazy story of a bolter, someone going back to park footy and then making their way back into first grade. But and that guy a few years ago that was a Garbo that made first grade for the Roosters.
Roosters.
But yeah, very, very, very rare. And you look at the impact it has on their body while they're putting themselves through that, and also their earning potential. Like most of their colleagues, classmates, of the people of the same, graduating year from school as them, go on and get a trade or a degree or whatever qualification and carry on with their lives. And a lot of them finished, I've heard Danny Kemp talking about this only recently, you finish your NRL career at 28, 30, 32, whatever it is. And for 99% of them, they're like, wow, for what? I haven't earned earned a life's fortune here. I have to go out and start from scratch now. It's a big issue. So good luck to all those guys, because I know a lot of ex-players, they may have never played first grade, struggle with that, what they put themselves through, and then the aftermath of that.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you've got guys becoming bobsledders. So how good?
Yeah, and that's an awesome find.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I love that. I guess the 10-year anniversary makes sense, both because 10 years is generally a celebrated anniversary for things, nice round number, but also if you were going to make it from this crop into being a regular NRL star, you would have seen that happen by now. So I think it's fair to say anyone who is going to make it has made it. I don't think we're going to see any of those scenarios that you mentioned there, Williams, about someone coming up from the depths. There's only a few of them that I could find that were still playing in Q Cup. Plenty still playing lower grades and playing it for fun, which, on a side note, is one of the things that really upsets me when, the first grade players talk about, insurance and whatnot, that they should get all this medical stuff thrown into the contracts for the RPA, but you get all these people that are playing the game for fun and they don't get any of that. So it's a bit of a weird scenario for me. But yeah, 10 years, we talk about, these players are now in their sort of 26, 27. They're half at best through their career, maybe two-thirds realistically through their career, which is a pretty big chunk when you consider it. However, that's a bit morbid. Let's get better. This doesn't end here. No. Was there any notable opponents?
Oh, goodness knows. So many in that era.
So many. But that's not how many we're going to go through. It's okay, guys. Don't freak out. We've got Oregon Kafusi. Played in the Parramatta team. We've got Cam Murray, who you mentioned, Williams. So no, he wouldn't have been blocking Billy Magoulias because they were in the same grade, same age. And Sio Sifa Talakai, who scored a try against us and was kicking goals. So two of those guys ended up jumping out of the opposition and coming and joining the good guys. So there's some big shout outs. There were more that have done stuff in the NRL, but these are the big three call outs, in my opinion. One of which is the biggest, Sifa Talakai. Really good to have him at the Sharkies.
So was he playing the centres or second row?
Oh, geez. Hang on one moment. Let me get that info for you. I think he was back row.
There it is. It's answered. It is decided. Back row.
Back rower. There you go. Good. I was right. Yeah. 12 back row. Oregon was obviously prop. All right. So we sort of started on this about talking about dynasties and progressing through. So it's worth mentioning and worth carrying this through to bonus round, Jersey Flegg. So in 2019, 2019, we won the Jersey Flegg. 2018, sorry, we won the Jersey Flegg with this team. Fullback, we had Luke Polisi. Wingers, Chris Tupu and Isaac Lumi. Centres was Jackson Ferris, Bronson Jerry. The halves were Jaden Millard and Braden Trindle. And props were Cruz, Tupai Avea and Blake Manawaski. Hooker was Harrison Smith. In the back row, we had Teague Wilton and Josh Carr with lock as James Romanus. The bench was Monty Raper, Luke Jerd, Finay Kula, and Tom Colican. Some of those names came through from the previous two teams we saw. There's been an injection of players from other teams. Still a pretty promising looking group. A few more names there that we've seen that have filtered through further. Teague Wilton, Braden Trindle. Isaac Lumi had a few games down at Melbourne and then I think went to, where did he end up? Titans, was it? Okay.
Jackson Ferris played one game for us in 2020. I thought he looked really good throughout.
Scored a try against the Broncos.
Scored a try, then did his ACL. I thought he looked really good throughout the grades with us, and I was hoping to see him.
He looked very good. He is on the comeback trail. He is back with Newtown.
Wow.
So hopefully, I don't know if he can do anything with it, but he's still playing.
He's got Vale and Gabriel, I suppose, probably ahead of him now. But he was promising. What are we talking now? 7-8 years ago.
Exactly. So yeah, but it's good to see him still playing the game he loves. All right, and look who we're playing. We're playing Jersey Flegg 2018 against the Penrith Panthers. Wouldn't it be good to see who their team was made up of? Well, they had fullback Dane Laurie in the wings, Thomas Lotz, Zachary Ryan in the centres, Stephen Crichton and Paul Stevenson.
Not the Paul Stevenson that played for us and Manly. He was quite a bit older.
No, not the Paul Stevenson. And Boldo has done it to me again because he's pulled the team list from the wrong spot. That player there in the wing is actually, who is it that's gone? Zachary Ryan did not play. Guess who played instead of Zachary Ryan? Brian To'o.
Wow.
Brian To'o. We then had in the halves Dean Blaw and Brendan Hands. The forwards were Spencer Lenu, Mitch Revel with the hooker Mene Luke. In the back row was Alexander Miles and Sean Blaw with Mitchell Kennedy at lock. And then on the bench, Mitchell Kenny, sorry.
Mitch Kenny.
On the bench, they had Adam Fernley, John Trimboli, Bradley Gort, and Jermaine Hopgood. So a pretty impressive team. Yeah. And look, there's a significant number of players there that were part of that Panthers dynasty. So, it's another question of, did we do something wrong? Could we have done anything better? We had all this talent. We had kids winning comps, coming through, still winning comps against the Panthers powerhouse. What do you make of that?
It's clear we didn't have the quality. We had obviously had players come through, but didn't have the quality in the key positions. So that Nathan Cleary, he was lambasted for a long period, like 2018, the pressure going into the finals there. And he was a young guy next to James Maloney, getting a lot of experience, but he was not performing on the big stage Origin in finals for the Panthers for a long period before they really kicked on. So hopefully, I'm putting a spin on it now. Hopefully Nico's getting that experience and Trindle's getting that experience so they can then convert the amount of big game reps that they've got into big game performances. Same too, the Panthers had the luxury of having experienced guys like Abby Coruscant there for the first few years of their dynasty as well. So I think, and we lost in that period, we lost Gallen, we lost Lewis, and a lot of other starch in our forward pack that the Panthers arguably haven't. They've continued. Isaiah Yeo was in the team and he's just developed from there. So that cliche of youth and experience, I think the Panthers had to bring it through. We didn't, unfortunately. That loss of Gallen and other experienced players saw a change in the guard that I don't think we had the ability to handle and perform and transition this success into NRL success. And really no other team has compared to the Panthers as well. That what they've done is just with so many variables at play, I don't think it'll be seen again anytime soon. Touch wood anyway.
Certainly nothing that I think you could put a pin in and say this is what they did right. So we've certainly shown that we've had a crack at developing, and I certainly think we can call ourselves a development club. I believe we've got a good group coming through at the moment, good sort of juniors. It'd be interesting to see how we go from here. Now, one final round. We sort of touched on it. We then won the New South Wales Cup with the Newtown Jets in 2019. So a year later, kids still going through, still progressing through the pathways. Fullback Will Kennedy on the wings, Sione Katoa, and Tyrone Phillips in the centres, Aaron Gray, Ronaldo Mulatalo. The halves is Jack A. Williams and Braden Trindle. Toby Rudolph in the props with Jermaine Jolfi, who's gone up to the Titans. Our hooker there is Blake Brayley. And the back row, Scott Sorensen, Jason Bakuya, Billy Magulius, and on the bench was all NRL standard. And then on the bench was Teague Wilton, Siosifa Talakai, Daniel Vasquez, and Matt Evans.
Wow.
Pretty handy reserve grade team there, that one.
Very strong.
Well, Ronaldo had first grade experience by then too, and he played quite a few matches for us late in the 2019 season. Not too many that it stopped him from qualifying for the New South Wales Cup finals campaign. But I remember he had a blinder against the Tigers in that final round win where Paul Gallen kicked a field goal, including putting a hit on someone, similar to what he did in the weekend, and everyone standing and applauding. And now that's, I suppose, rightly deemed dangerous, but at the time that was deemed just a good hit. But that was when he was playing in the centres as well. He played in the centres for America as well in the was it America or Samoa, one of the two?
Yeah, he came up as a junior. His junior days were as a centre. NYC, he was in the centres, and he was pretty much a centre until he couldn't play centre in first grade because his pathway was blocked. And
he was named in the centres for Fitz's first two games as well. He didn't play centre, but he was named in the centres for the that round 1 2022 game against Canberra, and then again that home game against the Eels. And I think I can't remember what happened with an injury to Connor Tracy requiring a reshuffle or something. But yeah, both times he was in jersey 4 from memory, but didn't play there. He ended up playing on the wing.
Yeah. And just to complete the picture, this is who they were against. Wentworthville, which is Parramatta's feeder club. They had Josh Hoffman at fullback, Charlton Schaffhausen and Greg Marzu on the wings, Ethan Parry and George Jennings in the centres, Jamin Salmon there in 5'8", playing for the Baddies, Reece Davies at halfback, and the props of Tim Mana and Stefano Otikumanu. At 9, Matt McIlrick, another Sharkies alumni.
Played in 2016.
Played in 2016, correct, for one game, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Back row is Andrew Davey, David Gower with the lock of Penny Terepo. The bench is Hazard Dunster, Oregon, Hayes Dunster, thank you. Oregon Kafusi there before coming across to us, obviously played with Parramatta and played for their grand final. And then Hamani Hiroti and Ray Stone.
Please. Gee, that's a pretty solid team too, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not bad. Not bad. We then went on to play the Stingrays. No, sorry, not the Stingrays. The Burleigh Bears for the state championship, which was not as strong a team, I felt, as this one. They did have Jamal Fogarty. They did have Anthony Don, Pat Politini.
Former Shark.
Outside of that, that was it.
Anthony Don would have been about 38 by then.
Yeah, exactly. He was certainly on his last legs.
I think he scored a try as well.
I can tell you, actually. He did
I
score a
think
try in the 21st
I
minute.
remember. I remember
There
him
you
scoring.
go. See? Williams coming in cold, still knows all. Well done, Williams.
Oh, I don't know about that one. That 2019 grand final day, we had the one child, and he was not yet 2, and I took him to the park, and I was listening on the radio to that New South Wales, or the whatever they call it, the New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup Super Bowl thing, and heard that on ABC radio, the chip and the try, which was pretty crazy. Because I was just about turned off, thinking, well, they've butchered it in true Sharks, well, in this case, Jet style, and then that happened.
I was glued to the TV, and it was amazing. It was so good. I think I was not aware of the clock, and so when he put the chip up for the New South Wales Cup, when he put the chip up there, I wasn't aware of the time. I'm like, what are you doing? And then realized and was like, oh my gosh, how good. And then, yeah, against Burleigh Bears, I was in the dumps. I was like, oh, we've lost it. There's no way we can do it again. And sure enough, Billy Maguglia steps up to the plate, which was pretty impressive. Good fun. So, yeah, I loved that. Yeah. Well, that was it. That was as deep a dive, I think, as we've ever done. So congratulations to any Sharks fans who sat through that and listened. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That's something a little bit different. We took the bye week opportunity to do a bit of a deep dive. I don't know about you, Lats and Williams, what you thought of that, but that was certainly fun for me.
Informative,
so
and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I now can root for someone in the upcoming Winter Olympics. So I'm
absolutely
pretty due to that.
Sharks are taking out the Olympics between Luke Cavell's daughter and what was his name again? I've forgotten his name already. Poor bugger. Scott.
Yeah.
Not Curtis. Not Curtis.
No, not Curtis.
The Winter Olympics will get it.
Let me bring up the notes.
Cameron?
It's not Wayne Kerr.
Cameron Scott, I think it was.
Cameron Scott. It is Cameron Scott.
Good job.
Thanks for all the efforts you put in there, Franko. That was really fun. A good reminder too. Good, covered some good ground there. A little comment from Scotty McLaren as well. Poor Pat Boltoni broke his arm in the last 4 minutes of that match, so wasn't aware of that. Poor Pat, he did play for us during those 2014 Wooden Spoon era SADA affected team, and played quite a few first grade games that season.
Yeah, exactly. Any other news, guys? Been a lot around. Lats, you're the man with the finger on the pulse.
Mate, just watching this Lachlan Galvin situation unfold. It's been quite entertaining watching none other than Phil Gould get hauled over the coals by colleagues on Channel 9, and I've been enjoying that. Who knows what's going to happen there?
What did he say to him? He said, like, be careful what you say, son, or something like that to Michael Chamis, which was interesting it was a bit
hard, Phil, that one, because he's got the answer for everything usually. So he doesn't like being called out.
Well, if you speak loud enough and over the top of someone, then you always got the last word, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't get you last debrief with the comments, so I'll have to work on that myself.
Too quiet.
But who knows what's going to happen with this Lockie Galvin situation, though? All I can see an early exit for DCE to the Roosters, Sandon Smith to the Tigers. I can see Sexton to Canberra. Like, there's so much could happen with this.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So Sexton, not that I care, but it looks like Canterbury's imploding with Sexton saying, I quit. Don't put me in a reserve grade. I'm out. And who was it? Reid Marnie's been given permission to talk elsewhere. And that already is caused shockwaves apparently within the playing group. So it's
there's also whispers a possible Connor Tracy out, Burton to fullback. There's a lot of conclusions that could happen.
Not that we're a dog's pocket. That could not care less, but Burton to fullback just baffles. But anyway, their house of cards is about to come crashing down, and it's not us on this occasion. So I'm very happy with that. Interesting stuff though. Nothing like a good agenda or alternate ploy that Gus has been doing for years and being called out about it, which is good. Also, too, the fact that he's been, was it someone put on the Discord? So get in amongst the Discord channel, a link to an article talking about Gus abusing his power, basically as a commentator going, well, Galvin's not wanted at the Tigers. He should go. He should leave. He should engage his manager. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, that's putting undue pressure from a position that, for example, Dino is not a commentator. No, it's just ridiculous that these double standards and agendas are allowed to be let go. But I suppose, yeah, that it's all written in contracts and legalese, and that allows them to continue. But a couple of things from myself, Franko, was, and thank you for putting the Discord things up now into the comments fields on YouTube and Facebook, is that we're pushing towards 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So make sure you hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and that allows to unlock some more functions for the YouTube side of things anyway. And do we have a winning comment for today?
We sure do. I think
was pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it absolutely has to be that one, which was
going down like a bobsleigh.
Was going down like
Bobsled.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Here we go. James Munro saying all downhill like the Sharks in relation to the new bobsledding hero,
Cameron Scott.
So yeah, that was pretty awesome. I laughed at that one, as did we all. But yeah, it was good. Yes, you're right, Williams. We are super close to 1,000 subscribers, only needing another 80 odd, I think it is. So like,
929 pre-show.
Well, there you go. Do whatever you can. We've got something special planned if we get there. So help us along. I don't know what the something special is. Surely there can't be anything more special than what we've just done.
Let your Shark supporting mates know about us. They may well have the background knowledge on a few of those players we weren't aware of. So send them this way. We cover all kinds of ground, and that was a good little distraction there for this week, which has been pretty ordinary in Sharkland. So thanks for that, Franko.
No worries, guys. All good. Now, I will say it would be pretty smart of the NRL New South Wales State of Origin team to leak footage of Crichton in ice and be like, oh, all this drama to take away from the focus, distract and whatnot. But I don't think Laurie Daly's smart enough to do anything like that. So it probably is they just let someone in and
he showed that by not picking Luai.
Yeah, correct.
Not that we care, exactly that, but not that we care about Origin either. But yeah, he's nowhere near as smart as Queensland's tried and true. Oh, we've got gastro or the flu or something running through camp. Oh, we're all in hospital on drips. Woe is us, and then they come out and win by insert score here.
Yep. Just before we wrap up, Scotty comes back and he says it was his mistake. He meant to say that Pat Politini only lasted 4 minutes. Didn't happen in the last 4 minutes. Yeah. But yeah, wonderful showing, guys. Really appreciate having you here with us. Thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. If you missed us live, pop your comments below. If you want to see how the discussion goes throughout the week, there's the Discord that we stuck in there. Maybe it'll be below as well. It was really good, as Williams alluded to. If we've got anything wrong or if there's anything we missed, you want to shout the rooftops about corrections, or I did this really awesome thing, you should mention it. Let us know. We will happily talk about it and correct ourselves there for sure. There's no debrief this week. No opposition fan preview. No Cronulla Chronicles.
Oh, there is. I'm covering best wins over the bye. Best wins over the bye. All right. I like to see it. We did lose them twice in 2003.
Well, I'll be glued to the YouTubes for that one, Williams. But that's kind of crazy. So don't forget, there will be Boldo and the gang doing the State of Origin watch along tomorrow night. That's you two lads, don't forget. I'm in early in the first half. I think we're going to have a few slide-in viewers. It's going to be a fun little watch along. Yeah, I hope that's going to be good. I'll certainly be tuning in. Make Origin a bit more bearable for me. Only, look, I'm not an Origin hater like Chris CK is, but I do not like State of Origin in conjunction with Laurie Daly and no Sharks players. So it's a trifecta for me. It's going to be a hard watch. So hopefully you guys make it more fun for us. Other than that, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Like I said, this was a deep dive. This isn't something we normally do. If you did like this type of content, let us know. We can certainly plan to do more of it. It is a little bit drier than what we normally do as well. We certainly acknowledge that, but it is something fun, and maybe every now and then something we can pull out, especially if you guys like it. We can look to do more of it. But really appreciated having you here with us along this journey, this look back through time. All the best to everyone. Thanks very much. Take care, guys. Up.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.